The dimly lit room buzzed with excitement. Lyle paced back and forth, outlining the heist. "This is our chance," he said, eyes gleaming. "The British Museum holds more treasure than we could ever imagine." His partners, Jenna, the mastermind, and Marco, the hacker, nodded in agreement. "The artifacts are priceless, and tonight, they'll be ours," Jenna confirmed, her voice cold with certainty. Marco adjusted his glasses, focused. "The security system will be down in 5 minutes." Lyle smiled, then gestured toward the blueprint of the museum. "Let's do this." The heavy steel door creaked as they slipped inside the museum's staff entrance. The echo of their footsteps seemed louder in the stillness. Lyle's heart raced, but he pushed the feeling down. "Stick to the plan," Jenna whispered. Marco was already tapping on his tablet. A low hum filled the air as the museum's security system blinked offline. "We're in," Marco whispered, and the group moved forward, each step calculated and precise. Shadows stretched long against the marble floors as they neared their destination. Their target was the vault beneath the museum. Hidden away from the public, it contained priceless relics, artifacts from ancient civilizations. "We've got 3 minutes to crack it," Marco murmured, plugging in a sleek device. Jenna peered down the long corridor. Lyle stood watch, his fingers twitching in anticipation. The device beeped once, then twice. The heavy steel door groaned open. "We're in," Marco said, a grin creeping onto his face. But Jenna's gaze hardened. "Stay focused," she warned. Inside the vault, a row of glass display cases glittered under the harsh light. Ancient Egyptian statues, Mesopotamian tablets, Greek urns, priceless treasures. Jenna's eyes gleamed as she stepped toward a golden sarcophagus, its intricate carvings catching the light. Lyle followed, carefully removing the relics from their cases. "We've got the goods," he said, his voice low. "Let's move." Marco was already loading a duffel bag with artifacts, his eyes scanning the vault for more. The clock was ticking, but they couldn't rush. Suddenly, a distant sound echoed from the hall. Footsteps. Marco froze, eyes wide. "Guard patrol," he hissed. Lyle's heart skipped a beat. Jenna cursed softly under her breath. "We need a diversion." Quick thinking. Jenna reached into her bag. She pulled out a small, noise-emitting device. With a flick of a switch, it beeped loudly, drawing the attention of the guard away from their position. "Go," Jenna whispered. The team hurriedly scrambled out of the vault, their movements synchronized, breaths shallow. As they made their way back to the exit, the museum's alarms suddenly blared to life. The heist had been compromised. "Move faster!" Lyle shouted. The team sprinted down the hallway, Marco struggling to keep up with the heavy bag. "It's too late," Marco panted. "The system's back online." Behind them, the thud of footsteps grew louder. Jenna pulled out a smoke grenade, tossing it behind them. A thick cloud of smoke filled the corridor, obscuring the guard's vision. "This way," Lyle yelled, leading them to a side exit. Outside, the streetlights glowed faintly as a black car idled nearby. Lyle shoved the bag of relics into the trunk, and Marco hopped into the front seat. Jenna jumped in last, slamming the door behind her. "Go!" she ordered. The driver floored the gas pedal, tires screeching as they sped down the street. A siren wailed in the distance, but they were already far enough ahead. Lyle glanced at Jenna. "We did it." She didn't respond immediately, her mind already calculating their next move. "This is just the beginning," she murmured. The hideout was a run-down warehouse tucked away on the outskirts of London. The car screeched to a halt, and the team piled out. Inside, shelves lined the walls. They were stacked with stolen goods from countless heists. Lyle dropped the bag onto a table, ripping it open. "We've got our haul," he said, examining the relics. Jenna turned away, her gaze distant. "This is just the first part," she said coldly. "Now we sell." Marco stepped forward, his laptop open. "I've already got buyers lined up." But Jenna didn't seem convinced. "Not yet. We need to disappear first." 2 days later, Jenna received a message. "Buyers here?" Marco said, eyes glinting with excitement. Lyle was already counting the profits in his head, but Jenna hesitated, a sense of unease settling in. "Who's the buyer?" she asked. Marco shrugged. Doesn't matter as long as the money's right. But Jenna's instincts were sharp. She clicked the message. It revealed a cryptic code. It was a warning. This buyer's trouble, she muttered. We need to disappear before they find us. As they prepared to leave, Marco pulled Jenna aside. There's something you're not telling us, he said. His tone was accusatory. You don't trust anyone. Jenna's gaze flicked to Lyle, who was loading the car. I trust no one, she replied flatly. Marco crossed his arms. Then why did you set this up? You didn't need us. Jenna's eyes narrowed. I've always known who's useful and who isn't. Don't worry, Marco. You're useful. Marco didn't look convinced, but said nothing more. They were halfway to their next safe house when Lyle slammed on the brakes. What the hell? Jenna snapped. Marco was fumbling with his phone, his face pale. The buyer's a setup, he muttered. Jenna cursed. I knew it. Lyle grabbed the wheel, turning sharply. We're going off grid. No more planned stops. But it was too late. Their phones pinged with incoming messages. Police alerts. It's a trap, Marco whispered. Jenna's face hardened as she threw her phone out the window. We need to vanish. The police were closing in, and the team was running out of options. Jenna led them through back alleys, cutting through narrow streets. But the sirens grew louder. We're not going to outrun them forever, Lyle said, his breath ragged. We need to hide. Jenna darted into a construction site, motioning for the others to follow. The shadows of cranes loomed large as they crept behind piles of metal and brick. Stay low, Jenna ordered. They waited, hearts pounding, praying the cops wouldn't spot them. After hours of evading the authorities, they finally found shelter in an abandoned building. Inside, they discovered a hidden room filled with relics from other heists. This is a safe house for criminal, Marco said, wide-eyed. Jenna smirked. Perfect. They spread out, securing their stolen treasures in the corner. Lyle wiped sweat from his forehead. What now? Jenna walked to a desk, pulling out an old map. Now we disappear, but first we need to get rid of the heat. Just as they were about to settle in, a knock echoed at the door. Stay quiet, Jenna whispered. She peeked through a crack in the wall, her eyes narrowing. It was Marco, looking nervous, his face pale. He was supposed to be on lookout. What's wrong? She asked, her voice cold. Marco swallowed hard. I think they found us. Jenna's heart skipped. Who? But Marco didn't answer. A faint glimmer of realization crossed Jenna's face. You've sold us out. With no time to waste, Jenna grabbed her bag and threw it over her shoulder. We're going to need a new plan, she said, urgency creeping into her voice. Lyle cursed under his breath, pacing back and forth. They'll be here any minute. Marco, now visibly shaking, glanced between them. I didn't mean for this to happen, but Jenna didn't have time for apologies. We move now, she ordered, shoving him toward the back exit. The second we stop, we're done. As they tried to make their way to the back alley, a shadow loomed ahead. It's a trap, Marco yelled, but it was too late. A group of armed men blocked their exit. Jenna pulled out a gun from her jacket, her hand steady. You've got 2 seconds to explain, she said, her voice cold. The leader of the men stepped forward. You've stolen something valuable, and you're not getting away with it. Marco, panicking, tried to run, but one of the men grabbed him. You're coming with us, the leader said. Jenna's mind raced as she calculated her options. She could fight back, but they were outnumbered. If you like it, please like and subscribe.